It was only a couple of weeks ago. I was at a doctor's appointment. They were taking blood and doing labs, and I got a call from my wife. I'd started off our day like normal in good worship and devotions, was singing on my way to the doctor's office, good day. I get a call from my wife, and she said, I've been in a wreck. I'm on the highway. Well, I could tell by her voice that she wasn't hurt. Something interesting, when you've been with someone a lot of years, you know instantly the tone of their voice, what's going on. I knew she was okay. So I, told her, hey, pull off the side of the road, call the police. She said, I've done that. I said, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just shaking up. I said, well, when I get out of the doctor's office here, I'll call you again. And I called back. The police had been there at that point, and I asked, is the car drivable? What happened? She'd merged on from I-40 to 169, where all that traffic merges in that short little area heading south. And she moved into a lane of a big truck and sideswiped him. And she said that then when she reacted, banging into the truck and it tearing up the side of her beautiful Lincoln, she was heading toward a block wall. And she said it must have been an angel just took the wheel and got her onto the side of the road where it was safe, and she stopped. I asked, I thanked God, and I asked, is it drivable? Is there anything, maybe up against the tires from that side sweep? And she didn't know. And she asked if I could come over and look at everything. And of course, I said, sure. I jumped in the car and drove over there. Because she wasn't hurt, I wasn't praying for her. Had she been hurt or something, I would have immediately been praying, healing, protection, God's grace. But because she wasn't hurt, an interesting thing happened. I didn't ask God I didn't invite him into the moment. I didn't call upon his power. I just put on my man cap and my husband dog tags, and I went to the rescue. I can handle this. I know what to do. I know what to do in a wreck, I know what to look for. I get over there, and of course it's hot. We're on the highway. There's cars buzzing by, and I'm looking at the vehicle, and there is something against the front wheel. It's not immediately dangerous, but it could become a situation. So I said, let's pull off the side of the road here and get it off the highway and let me look at it more. And it's something I wanted to tend to. So I said, let's pull a little farther up here down the road. There's a store where I can buy some tools. And I got underneath there and started cutting away at this fender and rubber and material that was against the tire. It's hot outside. My back is aching. My mouth had ulcerations from the cancer treatments that were side effects. I was in pain there. I wasn't in a good mood. I'm looking at her beautiful Lincoln that's already paid for. It's such a blessing car. Not even 70, 80,000 miles. It's still in great condition. And now the whole side is torn up. The side mirror's hanging there. I'm cutting away at stuff, and I'm not happy. I'm frustrated. I forgot to invite Jesus in the middle of it. I knew I could handle it. I thought putting on my man hat would be enough. But I'm frustrated. She makes this statement, standing there beside me, watching me work in the heat, and she goes, well, what about this mirror? And out of that frustration, out of the pain I was feeling, the heat I was feeling, the frustration of the moment, having not invited the Lord to be with me, I took those cutting shears, reached up and just cut the wires from that side mirror. And I said, there, now the mirror's taken care of. And I just cut it off. And I went back to work cutting away and told her it was safe now to drive. She could head home or go wherever. Just be careful she didn't have a side mirror. That night, I went to bed and like normal, went to sleep, but I woke up about 3 or 3:30, troubled in my spirit. And I realized what I had done in that frustration, in cutting away that side mirror with all those special wires and heating elements and special sensors that the Lincoln has and everything. I'd probably added another $1,000 of damage to already what was going to be an expensive repair. And I became worried and concerned. I started beating myself up. Why did you do that? What's wrong with you? You know, you did that out of frustration. And I got up, I couldn't sleep. I went in to do devotions and worship. I couldn't do worship. So I went for a walk and I started talking to God. And I'm like, why did I do that? You know, what is still in me that causes me to react like at times out of frustration? And he started teaching me a couple of valuable lessons. The first lesson he taught me in this was that my emotions are my warning indicators. Just like on the dash panel of our vehicle, when a light comes on, it's giving you a warning: low air pressure, in the tires, oil needs to be changed, check engine light. These lights come up, oil light comes up, we know it's time to check something. The Lord said, when you are frustrated, when you have emotions of fear or anxiety or worry or doubt, those are indicators that you're not in my peace, you're not in my joy, you're not in my presence. You need to invite me in. You need to access your peace. You need to take your joy. You need to claim, lay hold of your faith. You need to call on the power that's with you. You didn't do any of that. I'm like, no, I didn't do any of that. I had the man hat on. I could handle it. I couldn't handle it. Even though it was simple, I could have invited God and been much more peaceful and handled it better. But I learned something here, that my frustration I was feeling was supposed to be an indicator that I was trying to do something on my own and I wasn't doing very well. And I could have invited God, his wisdom, his guidance, his peace. The next thing, of course, I learned was that I didn't treat my wife with respect in that moment, nor her car. And I had to apologize to her and explain to her what happened and how I got there. But then I also said, you know, the enemy was beating me up until I repented and turned over to God and received his forgiveness and allowed him to forgive me. And probably the enemy might be lying to you and telling you, Lori, that even though it was an accident and you didn't mean for it to happen, he may be trying to beat you up and getting you to feel blame for what's happened to the car. And I can advise you, repent, give it to God, and let him restore everything. It's interesting, later that day, I thought of asking a neighbor to come over and look at the car to help me look underneath and zip line things that were hanging and pull them up into place so that we could continue driving the car until the insurance things worked their way out. He came over and started looking and he said, "What's a shame about your side mirror?" I didn't have the courage to say, yeah, I cut that off in a moment of frustration. I just said, yeah, it is a shame. And he said, well, you know, it's really not a big deal. Actually, you can get another mirror. All you have to do is open up the panel from inside, get a harness that connects to that clip-on, connects it to the mirror, put it in place. It's not really that big a deal. It wouldn't cost you near what you think. Problem solved. I turned it over to God, even though it was after the fact, and he had a solution for me. Every day we're faced with situations and challenges, things that come up, whether in the moment or, you know, things that just happen, and we can just put on our man cap and push our way through it. We cannot respond to the emotions we feel or understand what they're about. We can react out of them, sometimes unbecoming. Or we can invite the Lord into the situations, even though we feel confident. And if you're like me, we can invite the Lord after the fact by repenting and forgiving ourselves and allowing him to forgive us and letting him now help us with whatever it is that we need.